And a question that I asked you last time we spoke, but I always like to ask because it's been a few months, things change. Trump, I believe the last time we spoke, it had maybe been a month before, maybe a little bit. Times get confused, but Trump had just ended temporary protected status for Haitians in America. I'm wondering now, with it having been even more months since then, are we seeing like a new influx of people? How is this affecting Haiti? Is there a new strain on the resources, that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely, and it's a particularly unconscionable element of our policies right now. So Trump attempted to end temporary protective status for Haitians, which was initially put in place after the 2010 earthquake. And TPS, for those who don't know, is basically a status that Congress created that allows the president to give a particular group of people temporary protection in the U.S. when we believe that returning to their country of origin would be deeply harmful on a temporary basis. So if there was a significant natural disaster, as with the earthquake in Haiti, or if, war broke out on something like that, so someone who is already in the US, whether, because they were here on a tourist visa, or they were here as a student, or they were here working temporarily, it allows them to remain safely in the US, without being forced to return to really dangerous circumstances. So because Haiti has had an ongoing series of really challenging circumstances, TPS status has remained in place because it has continued to be unsafe for Haitians to return. And I will point out that the US government has kept Haiti under its sort of highest travel warning. It has pulled back its diplomatic corps. So it's now sort of a station where like family members can come, and it's a pretty minimal staff. We have now orchestrated two interventions. First, the MSS, now the gang suppression force, to go into Haiti because we're arguing the situation is so extreme and acute. And the Trump administration was saying at the same time, the situation in Haiti has improved so much that we should really remove this temporary protected status, which is a completely nonsensical statement. Um, and at the same time, of course, the Trump administration and some of its most prominent members, starting with President Trump, have made a lot of clearly racist statements against Haitians, displaying a clear racial animus towards the Haitian people. So, because of that, there have been a number of really brave Haitians present in the United States who have brought lawsuits to block the termination of the temporary protected status. And actually, the Supreme Court is due to hear one of those cases that has made it all the way up tomorrow. So, for those of you who are interested, it's at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can actually listen to the live Supreme Court arguments, and encourage all those in a position to do so to rally and otherwise support that effort. But basically, they will be arguing that the termination is improper and motivated by racism and lacks the kind of assessment that Congress required in creating this designation of TPS. So we really hope that that case can be successful and provide protection to the more than 350,000 Haitians who have TPS in the U.S. And incidentally, the impact of that, like 350,000, is an enormous number, and those are people who are, many of whom have been in the U.S. for decades, who have children here, who have homes here, who are important members of their community. Sort of a disproportionately high number of Haitians work in healthcare. So these are a lot of people who are really critical to care to other members of their community. They have more than 80,000 children who are American citizens, and contribute an estimated 5.9 billion to the US economy. These are people who are really important to our communities, and ending TPS in theory exposes all of them to immediate deportation, to circumstances that, as we were just talking, are just deadly. I don't know how else to say it. Like, living in Haiti is a daily proposition of facing the risk of dying either violently or through privation of for most basic needs. Um, so I'll mention another sort of advocacy effort in case your viewers are interested, but um, IGDH has worked with other advocacy groups and some really courageous members of Congress who introduced a discharge petition. I'll give a shout out to Ayanna Pressley, who's been particularly central in leading this effort. But it's basically a way to get around the Republican control of the House in order to force a vote on legislation that would extend TPS for Haitians. So it was an incredibly improbable effort that succeeded. So we had several Republican members joining House Democrats for a total of 224 votes approving this legislation. So the next step will be Senate, which is unfortunately a higher hurdle, but public pressure and the fact that we're in the right on this hopefully means something. So really encourage your viewers to get involved, and our website has information about things that you can do. And the stakes are enormous because on top of just the brutality of the situation on the ground in Haiti, people who recently are returned, so people who are deported from the US, Dominican Republic is also deporting a lot of people to Haiti right now. There's evidence that they're distinctly vulnerable. They're often particularly targeted by armed groups. They also don't have as much of a safety net or network in country, which makes them more vulnerable to privations and other problems. So the idea of returning people to Haiti right now is unconscionable and inhumane. I'll mention one more thing, which is that the US is sort of taking a lot of steps to like prevent access to safety for migrants more general and for Haiti in particular. And there's been just a lot of blocking of Haitians' ability to leave their country, even as they're experiencing there's enormous crisis and risk. So increasingly, it's just really hard to leave the country legally or otherwise. And that's a really, I think, a moral place for us to be, especially given that the US government had played a really big role in creating the crisis in Haiti in the first place. And these are our neighbors. This is a country of people who, lit a beacon of human rights and human dignity by fighting against human enslavement and are really important uh, played a really important role in sort of the history of our hemisphere and of our country in particular. And so sort of failing to provide safety right now, I think is particularly unconscionable.
I'll definitely keep my fingers crossed for the legislative effort. And for anyone who does want to keep up with that or anything that you guys do, I will have the IJDH website in the description. So just to click away if you want to check it out. Thank you again for taking time. I think it's again like the sixth or seventh conversation I've had with the IJDH. Always a great time, always informative. So thank you again for taking the time with us. And as always, we'll look forward to having you back on for your next report.